Let's talk now about vertical farming, which is something you may not have come across, but a Bracknell-based vertical farming company has been shortlisted at the British Farming Awards. Now, these really are the Oscars of the farming world. The IAG team at the Innovation Agritech Group are the Agri-Tech Innovator of the Year finalists. Their business development director is Kate Brunswick, and she's with us now on BBC Radio Berkshire. Well, congratulations on being a finalist.
Thank you very much. It's very exciting news, isn't it?
Isn't it? Well, they really are the Oscars. I mean, the whole industry looks to these farming awards as the way forward. For those who've not come across vertical farming, and there will be thousands and thousands across Berkshire who've never heard of it, just explain what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So Innovation Agritech are vertical farmers. We have a technology that we've developed, which is an aeroponic technology, which means that our plants are not grown in soil and they use a lot less water than standard traditional farming. It's grown within a completely controlled environment, which means that it's not at the mercy of sunshine hours or anything to do with climate change. It's an internal growing system, which means that we can grow and monitor and optimise everything that we grow.
Indoors, basically.
It is all indoors. Yes, it is all indoors, which allows us to control it. So you see, if it was outdoors, then we would be facing the same challenges as the rest of the farming landscape that are farming in the more traditional way. So this is although it seems new, it's actually been around quite a long time in terms of hydroponics and attempting to optimise what we do and be able to grow 365 days a year.
Hydroponics, as the name will suggest, the use of water, and water that's then recycled.
Absolutely. So it uses much less water than traditional farming, although with the rain this year, I'm not sure I can actually stake that claim, to be perfectly honest. But we use a lot less water than traditional farming to maximise yields. So you have hydroponic technology, which is where the roots of the crops are sat in water all the time. And then we have aeroponic technology, which is what IAG have developed and refined. And that means the roots of the plants are hanging, for want of a better word, within a frame, which means they only take as much water as they need. So we actually use less water than hydroponics.
We only have to go back a few generations, and all of us come from farming families. You know, the Victorian era and before, everybody, and certainly before the Industrial Revolution, that's where our roots are. But our forebears would be bamboozled by this, wouldn't they?
Well, yes. I mean, I think so. I think it's a relatively simple technology. Obviously, we've enhanced what we do, but in terms of sitting alongside traditional farming, it absolutely complements what the British farmers are attempting to do year round, and in some pretty challenging times now with climate change and seasonality issues.
And how successful is the technology?
Well, that's a good question. How do you measure success?
Well, I'd have said if it was, for instance, salad crop, because you can't grow everything this way, but for salad crops, for instance, they need to be crisp and tasty and look good and taste good.
Absolutely. So in terms of success, it's a very successful growing system because we are able to monitor and automate everything that we do. We have a very successful plant science team on site who manage and monitor everything we grow. So yes, we do grow leafy greens and we do grow herbs, and we're able to understand, because we can measure what we're doing using very exciting software, we can manage everything that we do. So if we have a less successful yield, we're able to understand why and optimise it for the next round, which means that we can replicate the success of the yields, including the look of the product, the taste of the product, and the colour, and also, listen to market demands and understand what the customer is looking for in terms of the crops that we grow.
Yes, what the customer is looking for, or what the retailer is looking for, because sometimes they're not the same thing, are they?
No, they're not the same thing, and consumers are quite a fickle bunch, as we know. So what we do, or the crops that we grow, because what we've done is actually develop the technology to grow the crops, and also then to be able to integrate that technology for third parties to be successful in what they choose to grow, whether that is leafy greens in areas that you can't grow them, or edible flowers for a more contemporary market, or cosmetic plants for clean for clean makeup, or pharmaceutical plants in terms of advancing what we do for vaccines and making sure that we never run short again and we're in a better place to develop host protein plants for the future. So there are many applications of this technology.
Fair to say you'll never be growing, I don't know, pineapples and coconuts?
No, I don't think we will ever be able to grow those. And I think you have to be very upfront about where this technology sits and where it lends itself, and not get slightly ahead of yourself in what it can do and the issues that it can solve. So I think you're absolutely right. We wouldn't be growing those things. We wouldn't be able to do it as well as it's already being done traditionally. And I think that's the key point with controlled environment agriculture. We're not looking to replace all the learnings over the last hundreds of years in terms of what we do really well in the field. We're just looking to kind of complement and supplement with what we can do.
Is it too easy to say this is driven by climate change?
No, I don't think it's too easy to say that. I think it's driven a lot by climate change. I think it's also driven by issues going on in the world in terms of wars and displaced communities and consistency of food security. But I think you're right, it is all sort of bundled in with what we're all trying to achieve in the face of adverse climate change issues at the moment.
Let's talk about the shopper then, because most people, when they go into the shop or supermarket, expect the things they buy to have been grown in the ground. And also, I think they like to think that the things they eat have been grown by farmers, not by scientists.
Well, are we scientists or are we entrepreneurs and innovators? And we are farmers. To a certain point, we are agronomists. We're not necessarily scientists. We're not talking about what we can do for NASA. We are talking about making sure our consumers have their product on the shelves and in their fridges when they choose to have them, and that's currently all year round. So I think I would question whether the consumer worries about their provenance and actually is more concerned that they can feed their family with the products they choose to on a certain week of the year.
The Guardian newspaper today, been too busy to read it, I'm sure, but they've got a piece on, I suppose, the opposite of what you do, which is regenerative agriculture, nature-friendly farming methods. People would have seen this, I think, in the last few months on Countryfile, sort of going back to basics, if you like. The headline from a couple of people on the Isle of Wight who are into this is, "It's really sexy." Is what you do there really sexy in Bracknell, I wonder?
Well, I think it probably is, and certainly we are very transparent in what we do, and we open our doors on a regular basis for events. And I think one of the wonderful things about working for the company is that you throw open the doors and your visitors go, wow, that's incredible. And we are educators. Farming is an engagement role, so we like to engage with as many people as we can to understand where they understand vertical farming sits and what's involved in it. So as much as we are agronomists and entrepreneurs and farmers, if you like, we are also software engineers and design engineers and irrigation specialists and plant scientists, and we go mechanical engineers. We go right across the board in terms of what's involved to make this an exciting new inverted commas industry. So yes, it is sexy. I think so.
Excellent. You heard it here first. It would be a huge coup for Bracknell if you bring this award back, because farming, agriculture is very technical now. I mean, there is a job for anyone. Even if you're not interested in rearing livestock or growing crops, if you're into computers, if you're into anything, I mean AI, for instance. There's a job for you in agriculture these days. So these awards are really important. Do you know who you're up against, and have you been able to check them out?
Well, I've done some reading. There's only 4 of us in the final, and I think in terms of vertical farming, we are the only finalist within this section within vertical farming. But we are an esteemed company. These awards would be incredibly. It's wonderful to get to be a finalist, let alone dare to think that we might be a winner further down the line, in a few months' time. It's really humbling to be held up in terms of what we do, and to be considered to be part of British Farming Awards. It's not all wellies and tractors, as you've rightly said.
Yes, that's so true. Well, good luck. When are the awards taking place?
Well, I think the results are in the next week or so, but the actual event is not until October, where we get to.
They do it that way around, do they? Ah, clever.
They do.
Okay, well, we'll hang on your every word. We want to be the first to hear. Well, maybe the second to hear after you, if that's all right.
Absolutely, we'll let you know. I'll come back on the radio and tell you.
That would be great.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic. Kate, lovely to speak to you. We've got everything crossed for you here. Thanks for joining us on the program today. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Kate Brunswick there from Innovation Agritech Group, and she's the Business Development Director in Bracknell, joining us this morning.